Here we are once again for Storytime with Vaughn, and we have a very, very special guest host. Guy I've known since kindergarten, and we've been friends since second grade?
Third
grade. He's more like a brother to me. Bad Rad Chad Watson.
Thank you.
Chad's enjoying some natural light and cigarettes tonight. And I'm enjoying watching Blousey eat stuff off the floor. What is that?
That's one of her rawhide treats.
Anyway, so we sit here. We're gonna tell a couple stories. Which one do we do first? We'll do the N.W.A.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, we're gonna tell the story of N.W.A. Jr. And Chad, you want to tell them what N.W.A. stands for?
Niggas with attitude.
All right. We were in 5th grade, wasn't it?
Yep.
Okay. I can't remember nothing.
And I can, and I'm the one whose memory is shot from alcohol.
So we were in 5th grade, and our teacher was Mrs. Short. Romaine Short.
Like the lettuce.
And we had been separated in class. She wouldn't let us sit next to each other because we barely did our work, you know, especially if we were sitting next to each other. But my brother, he's 5 years older than me, and you know, let's see, how old are you in 5th grade? Like 12?
11,
12, something like that. So he's around 15, 16 years old. And at the time, the group N.W.A., and for those of you that don't know what that is, that's, like Chad said, niggas with attitude.
That's Dr. Dre, Ice Cube, Eazy-E, MC Ren.
So they were like the end thing, you know. They had some good hits, like Straight Outta Compton and
Fuck the Police.
Yeah, and what's another one they had?
Eazy-E had on his album, we used to really like Easy Does It. That's one of the little girl intro.
It's like, bitch, shut the fuck up,
yeah,
or something like that. So me and Chad, that was around the Bill and Ted time too, wasn't it?
Yeah, and of course we're really gangsta since we're fucking white guys from Rosie Claire. So,
I wasn't fucking any guys.
We're all, we're so involved in gang life. So, know, we related so heavily to that music.
We were hard. So, basically what it was like my brother thought it was cool, so we thought it was cool. And we decided we were going to start N.W.A. Jr., which would have been Niggas with Attitude Jr., seeing as how we're black. And I remember we would get paper and we'd roll it up to where it was like a long triangle, and we'd write N.W.A. Jr. and then put like our names off to the side like we were in a fucking business or something. Well, we're sitting in class one day and we were having free time or something, and like I remember if you went in the door, I was sitting pretty close to the door, and then a ways over was Mrs. Short's desk, and Chad was right next to her desk, wasn't he?
Me and Michael Hamp were. We got to tag him in this.
Okay.
Because for some reason me and him got stuck in the corner together, even though I guess because we were the two biggest troublemakers. I don't really remember why. But it was me and him over there.
So I remember we were having free time or something. I can't remember what we were doing, but me and Chad were writing down some lyrics, I guess, that we were going to...
And Justin Smith.
Oh, and Teddy did it too. I forgot about that. And we were basically throwing down some beats on paper.
And I'd like to say something about this. On mine, I wanted to make sure and include every cuss word I could. And originally, I just drew a line where the cuss words would be. And then I thought, well, Vaughn and Justin Smith might not know what I mean, so I wrote them in over the line, which made them look like they were emphasized.
Yeah. So Chad gets up, and he comes over to my desk, and I had wrote mine down, and I had like, Chad was better at rhyming and stuff. Mine was basically like a story. Well, he hands me this paper, and I'm sitting there reading it, and like he said, like, it'd say like, for example... Gonna walk down the motherfucking street and pop a motherfucking cap in his goddamn head. And he would, anything that was, a cuss word, it was underlined, So, just in case you couldn't find the cuss words. So, I don't know, I've read about 2 or 3 sentences, and I hear, Michael, what are you reading? And I look over.
Real quick, I hate to interrupt, but I was walking across the room and trying to be suave and dropping the shit on his desk.
Yeah. So I remember I look over to my left and Mrs. Short's like staring at me, and she sees me with this paper, and it's not like I could say nothing. So I remember her looking at me and saying, "Bring me that paper." And I remember biting the inside of my lip so hard because I was so scared that I remember tasting blood. So, I had to take it up there, so I took it up there. And what was the first thing I said?
I don't remember.
I looked there and said, "Chad wrote it, I didn't."
Oh, yeah. Oh, I remember, like, being paralyzed with fear over that.
So, she sees this, and this is what she does. She's reading, and her mouth drops to the fucking floor. So, I remember by this point, I had went straight to my book bag, which was hanging up in those little lockers, and I had mine. I'd ripped it up as best I could, and I threw it in there, and it was just trashed in there. And I remember we had band, like, within the next 10, 15 minutes or something. So, of course, we all went to band, and I remember she asked me, she said, "Michael, did you write one?" And I said, "No," and Chad was like, "Yes, he did! He had it," and blah, 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 And me and Chad loved each other like crazy, but we wasn't going down. He wasn't going down alone. Which I went
straight. If I'm going down, I'm taking everybody with me, and I busted out Justin too.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah,
he got busted too.
I completely.
But I'm the only ones that they. No, I think his got found too. I can't remember, but mine was the worst one out of all of them.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm always the most over the top one.
So we go to band, and I remember. We're sitting in band, and the whole time I remember I was playing saxophone. I was just sitting back there fucking shaking because I thought I was going to get busted. And I remember Wendell Robinson, who was the principal at the time, he comes in the band room, and Mr. Austin's like, "Oh, hold on a minute." And I hear Mr. Robinson say, "Chad Watson won't be in class today." And he shows Mr. Austin this, and Mr. Austin's face just goes like that, like he'd never seen cuss words before, So I was just freaking out because I didn't get to talk to Chad anymore that day or anything like that. So when I got home, I don't even think we called each other that night, did we?
Nope. My grandma called your mom and told him.
Oh, yeah.
And I'd fessed up that his brother Danny had dubbed us off the tapes.
Yeah. And I remember that night we were, I had got the paper out of my book bag, and I had it somewhere up in my room or something. And I remember we had ate dinner, and I wanted to get rid of the evidence as fast as I could. Like, I wasn't smart enough, I guess, to, like, burn it or, like, flush it down the toilet or something. So I remember after dinner, I went and got all that paper, and I had it in my hands, and I threw it in the trash can. And I told Mom and Dad, I said, "I'm going to take the trash out." And how many fucking 11-year-old kids volunteer to take the trash out?
None back in the early 90s.
So Mom knows something's up because she had already asked me. She's like, "Did you write one?" I said, "No." I said, "I didn't." And she's like, Dad's like, "Wait a minute." I said, "What?" And he goes, "You're wanting to take the trash?" I said, Yeah, I want to take the trash out. So Mom comes out there, and she's, I'm gonna be busted because it's right there. It looks like it's like snow on black concrete. You can't miss it, And she looks down, she picks up this piece of paper, and I remember the word that she found was nipple. and I'll never forget that line that I wrote. It said something. I remember it said, I don't know where I got this, but of course when you're 11 years old, you think about two things: having fun and like thinking you're gonna get lucky with a girl, because your hormones are kicking in. And I remember writing the line, "I'm gonna go kill a bunch of people and suck on a nipple." And I remember Mom looked at me, and I'm about to shit my pants. I was so nervous. And she goes, "Did you write this at school?" And I swore. I said, "Mom, no, I wrote that at home. I wrote that here at the house," which it was a lie, And I don't know if I can't even remember if I got in trouble. She made sure I sure as hell didn't write any more, and that I knew that I wasn't supposed to be writing any. And my brother got in trouble too for giving us copies of the album.
N.W.A, yeah, because it was straight out of Compton, and I remember Easy Does It was the big thing on there, because there was a little girl. There was once a girl from around, or a dog from around, where somebody, "Bitch, shut the fuck up," and all that. I remember we didn't even listen to the rest of the tape. It was that like over that and over again.
And then I remember that had to have been on a Thursday, because I remember that next day you were going to ride the bus home with me and spend the night.
Oh, yeah.
And then I remember that next day, that Friday, we went to school, and like I remember talking to Chad outside, because I thought he was going to be mad at me, And I'm like, I'm like, did you get in trouble? And he was fine. He was just like, oh yeah, Nanny said this and Paul said this, you know. And I don't know if he got grounded, but I mean, he obviously wasn't going to spend the night.
I did get grounded, and this is the thing. Like, I never spent any time in my bedroom. I hung out in the living room always, and Nanny grounded me from TV. But since I was always in the living room, that meant she couldn't watch TV either. So after 2 days of silent, her reading novels, I basically snuffed her out on the grounding, and I got let free.
But I can't. That was about the rest of it. But I do want to make it clear that like Nanny and Paul and my mom and dad, they didn't know they didn't condone us listening to that shit. So.
Oh no.
But I'll never forget. Like fast forward about however many years, and I'm working at Walmart, you know, not too long ago. It was probably about a year ago because it was at the news store. And I remember they called for a carryout on a certain lane, so I go down there, and it's Mrs. Short. And I hadn't seen her since, like, you know, 1922 or whatever. And I said, hey, how you doing, you know? And she actually remembered that. Probably hard to forget, but I remember asking her, you know, I said, do you remember that? Blah, blah, blah. And she had mentioned it or something like that. And she asked me, you know, how's Chad doing? What's he up to? I said, he's making music, you know, so. And I know she probably had to think he was making that type of music, so.
You know me, I'm gangster rap all the way in all I do.
Yeah, that was, I escaped punishment on that one.
Hardin County thug life forever.
Yeah, me and Chad didn't get a chance to pop any caps after that. We basically retired our rap lyrics and all that stuff. So
yeah, I gotta go take a piss.
All right, then we'll tell.